Good morning, and welcome to the Kent County Board of Commissioners Finance and Infrastructure Committee. We're going to go ahead and get started, so we're calling this meeting to order. And we're going to begin with public comment, if there's anyone from the public who wishes to comment. Good morning.
Grand Rising, everyone. D. Jones, passionate entrepreneur, visionary, future billionaire, trillionaire. First, I'd like to educate y'all on the opportunity for y'all to engage at the ISD. They have something called the Kent County Cup. They're going to be playing Super Smash Brothers. It's going to be up to 64 players. This is for 9th through 12th graders. It's going to be food prizes and scholarships, and they'll have an educational session on the esports industry, educated and highlighting how gaming actually transitions into careers. So this is something that's going on at the ISD. This is true infrastructure work that needs to be supported at the county level. So just an educational opportunity for you guys to get engaged with that. I'll be sure to give this to the clerk, and hopefully she can be able to make some copies and get that to y'all. But also, I'd like to speak about 3D printing construction or the GR Chambers. I'm actually a part of the GR Chambers now, and I was at the breakfast, and I'm going to keep standing on business and being bold and just being an authentic, genuine person that I am. And I believe I am going to be rich. And I seen Lindsay Till at the auto show, and both of us were looking at the nice cars and stuff like that. And I believe both of us are probably going to have some of those luxury cars in the future. Honestly, I'll probably have the Bentley, or I'll have the Aston, or I'll have the Lamborghini or the Lamborghini truck. I mean, I am going to be working with Showspan to actually do the first esports activation next year at the car show. And so that's going to be lit. It's going to be fun. I'm going to be there. Besides actually planning, we're actually starting to plan the 2026 regional finals at the DeVos Place. And so it's going to be fun to have 80 plus schools instead of 39 schools. It's going to be super lit. So y'all, it's going to be lit, y'all. So I'm truly, truly excited, because I'm also going to be getting on the Infrastructure and Natural Resources Committee for the GR Chambers. So I'm really going to hold these billionaires accountable and be sure that I get 3D printing construction into our notes, 3D printing construction and esports into our infrastructure, to be sure that the infrastructure is truly equitable for everyone, because we have people, underserved people that historically don't get the investment or ignored. And I believe that everybody, regardless of their ethnicity, even the poor Caucasian communities. As I look at the data, like I said, the unhoused communities, it's African Americans and then it's Caucasian people. And I believe that nobody should be unhoused. I believe we should be the best, grandest county on the earth, honestly, because I live here and I like to have the best places. I love to have the best resources. I like to have the best education system. I like to have 3D printed houses and buildings and be able to create, generational economic change for people's families across the globe and across our county for until I die, and be sure that the infrastructure ecosystems are good for everyone. So I'll be giving this to the person who works with the staff, and thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to comment this morning? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to our consent agenda. Is there a motion for the consent agenda this morning? Moved by Commissioner McLeod. Is there support? Supported by Commissioner Sparks. Any questions or comments on this item? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes. That takes us on to agenda items. We will start on item 4A.
Action requested. Recommend to the Board of Commissioners to accept an Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant called the JAG Grant from the Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance, administered by the Michigan State Police, to support the Urban League of West Michigan's work to reduce community violence, to appropriate $334,911 to the FY26 Sheriff's Special Fund Project Fund budget, and to authorize the board chair or designee to execute the agreement. Summary. So the Sheriff's Office over the last few years has seen a dramatic increase in juvenile crime throughout the county, and the Urban League of West Michigan desires to address this issue and is looking for a partner. The goal of this grant is to reduce and reverse increasing rates of community-based violence among youth and to protect community members from this violence. And the grant funds a method of providing conflict interruption and mediation to deter violent behavior and with the goal of changing attitudes towards violence. So the target audience is high school and middle school students, 14 to 18 years old, who are most at risk of involvement with gun-related violence and homicides, and to basically deploy training, interpersonal communication skills and education for avoiding these situations. So the grant period's through January of '26 through June of '27.
Is there a motion for this item? Moved by Commissioner Sparks. Is there support? Supported by Commissioner Halsted. Any questions or comments on this item? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes. That takes us to 4B from the Sheriff's Office, State of Michigan Public Safety Assistance Payments.
Action requested, recommend to the Board of Commissioners to accept and appropriate $791,708 in public safety assistance payments from the state to the county revenue sharing public safety budget in the FY26 Special Projects Fund, and to authorize the board chair or designee to approve the increases to the appropriation not to exceed 15%. Summary, Governor Whitmer signed House Bill 4706 in 2025, approving the state's budget, and House Bill 4706 included $14 million plus in new public safety assistance payments for county governments, and Kent County's portion of this is estimated to be $791,708. Counties are restricted to use this distribution for operational capital expenditures that serve public safety purposes. And in Kent County's case, the funds will be used to strengthen the Sheriff's Office Real-Time Intelligence Center by investing in essential technology platforms. And these platforms enhance the county's ability to rapidly identify, track, and respond to violent crime through improved situational awareness and coordinated information flow. And the platforms also support deployment of drone as a first responder, enabling faster response time. It also, lastly, funds installation of additional public safety cameras and the core devices across Kent County, expanding visibility and investigative reach.
Is there a motion for this item?
So moved.
Moved by Vice Chair Hildebrand. Is there support? Supported by Commissioner Coleman. Any questions or comments on this item? Commissioner McLeod.
Thank you, Chair. I do have a couple questions on this one. There wasn't any detail attached to this one in relation to exactly how the dollars would be spent, so I would like to pose a few questions if I can. And I see Sheriff LaJoy is here, so that's awesome. So I was able to visit the Real-Time Center, and I think it's, a very high-tech way of, addressing some of the connecting issues that we have when we're trying to engage in law enforcement. But I wanted to know if any of the operational and capital expenditures that these funds would support is going to support any type of systems that would help keep people's that are engaging with this technology, keep their privacy private. So are there any things that will be purchased to help support that? And then is in the same question I would ask about the drones and similar sort of concerns about privacy that citizens do have, especially with this center. Again, I think that it can do a lot of good, but there's also a lot of concerns about citizens' privacy and how that will be addressed with these dollars.
Yes, is that great question, and I'm really glad to have an opportunity to answer that in front of all of you guys. So the whole system is built out with privacy as a primary concern, to the extent that there are numerous layers of authorization before somebody would have access to it within our own department, but then also a very extensive audit trail that happens with every single camera click that if we use a camera that isn't, in fact, all of the cameras, but specifically we use a camera that's not our own camera, instead it's shared with us from another entity, they are due an entire audit report of every single time that camera was accessed in conjunction with whatever function was happening. They actually have to put a narrative in place to say why the camera was used. And I think it's really also important to discuss the way that public shares cameras with us. It is completely in their own power to upload images to us. We can't take over a Ring camera or any residential camera. It can't be done that way. It's only done where they put themselves essentially on a contact list. If there's something that happens within the vicinity of a location where their camera might have captured an image, maybe somebody going in or maybe somebody going out, they themselves are the ones who look through their camera images and share it with us. We don't have any way to share it. We'll know that they have cameras because they've told us that, and we can send a message to them. If a business shares a camera, that's a little bit more of a robust share, in that we can see it in real time. But again, that business gets an audit trail of when we looked, and then they also have the power to go in that back room and switch off the connection anytime they want to. It's completely within their control. So the system is built to be very specifically conscious of those protections.
That's useful information, so thank you for sharing that. And I think another question that I have is in relation to, like judicial warrants and subpoenas, are if the system, has information that, say, a federal agency wants to access, what's the process to get that information from the real-time center's information? And then, since citizens are freely uploading videos and things like that, could they be, if they've sent a video to you, just for instance, just as an example, if they sent a video to the system or an image to the system, could they then be compelled to provide additional information because they sent that to you, or would it just be the information that's in the system? And that might be a little too technical, but I just want to kind of understand how information gets to
us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about it in two layers because the answer is two different answers. The cameras that we have access to in real time, so this would be in response to a critical incident, we're going somewhere, we have cameras that we can click into. The amount of time that we have access to it is very restrictive. It's because the system doesn't retain the footage. It is access to see it, but the retention of the video is back in the home system. So if you're a business owner, for example, and you have a business whose camera is shared with us, we click into it, we see it, we can back it up probably a couple hours to be able to see, did that car pass or that car pass? But once that active event is done, and now I need that video for evidence, let's say we caught somebody and I gotta build our case, I still have to get subpoena for that information, and I serve that business with a subpoena, they give us a copy, we put in our evidence system and track it, just the way we would today by knocking on doors and saying, do you have video, do you have video? If a private citizen offers us Ring camera retrospectively after an incident happens, that Ring camera is relevant to our case, let's say it showed a car, that Ring camera video, that specific video that they sent us, is stored in our evidence, and again, would only be available for those specific reasons we would normally share it. So we would have to have a subpoena for it. In some cases, after the case is completely prosecuted, so we're talking a substantial period after, it would be available under FOIA, but it would be redacted where it came from. So we wouldn't see the home source of that video. A private citizen, let's say ICE wanted to serve a subpoena, which is what I think you're asking, they would have to have a subpoena for that video, which means they would have to have probable cause and have to make that case in front of somebody to issue that subpoena for them. That's not something we would participate in. It has nothing to do with us. And it wouldn't be through our system that they would gain access to it. Yes.
Commissioner Ponstein.
Thank you, Chair Teal. So a follow-up to that then. So someone or a business makes the video available. And you can have limited use of it. So the time comes when you want to subpoena it because you need it, and the owner has destroyed it. Any ramifications?
Well, it could have a negative impact on a case, but no, they're not compelled to keep, to them, you mean? No, they're not compelled to keep it,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Commissioner Womack.
Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning.
Yes, when it comes to license plate readers, could you tell me, once that information is brought into Kent County through the technology, and I believe that is also shared nationally with whoever you contract with, they have access to it too, are federal authorities able to usurp coming through Kent County by going directly to the provider? Is there anything in the contract that talks about federal authorities being able to get that, or other agencies outside of Kent County?
You guys are asking some hard questions this morning. I'm glad I had my cup of coffee. So I think you have to, instead of thinking of us as having ownership of a system, we contract with a system that others also contract with. So there's a national database created by, and it's not just one vendor, there's multiple vendors, there's some that we use locally. They have a data set that we have access to in that context. So everybody who has access to it has a contract to have access to it. There's some authority that, like, if I donated a camera to the system, I have authority over the data that comes from that, but it's still on their system. It's not on my system. So, they work through who has access to it and who doesn't. But what is stored in that system is simply the image of the driver's, or the license plate as it passes that camera. What's not married to it is who owns it, who was driving that car, what the driver's image looked like. That's not stored in the system. It's simply no different than if you stood at a corner and jotted down every single license plate that passed that corner. That's the same amount of data that would be in that system. A little bit, obviously, I have a picture of the back of a car, so I can tell it was a red sedan also, but essentially that's what it is. So we have control over who sees just the images that are part of our system, and we have to sign an agreement with it. The agreement we sign is for other local law enforcement area officers in our area to see it, people who would have a local law enforcement interest in Kent County. That's who we agree to see it. But we do get to see images from other entities too through this system, and it's useful in us tracking. Now, I'll give you a couple of examples of where that's really been beneficial. We have these rings of people who prey on shopping centers. They'll come in multiple car loads and hit like a Tanger Outlet Mall, and watching them come across the country to you helps you be a lot more prepared for when they get to our Tanger Outlet Mall, and we're able to intercede and get people in custody because we're able to see other cameras coming across. That's usually how it's used.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Commissioner Green.
Thank you. Thanks, Sheriff. I appreciate it. I just wanted to note, we were, a timely discussion on the residential, the ability for us to contact residents and get information from them, an investigation, this national story about Savannah Guthrie's mother being kidnapped or abducted, and hearing on the news this morning that the Pima County are, going door to door to look for camera information. And this is an elderly woman without medication and that sort of thing, where if they were able to look on a map and say, oh, we've got these folks that have said they'd be willing to share, they could save a lot of time in an investigation like that. So just wishing that they had that technology in place in this case already, so.
Well, and I agree. I wish they did, and our prayers obviously go out for their search and her safety. We have instances of maybe not such a dramatic case where they believe there's wrongdoing, but multiple times a month, we're looking for an elderly person who's wandered away, who maybe doesn't have their full faculties. It's amazing how far somebody can get before 911's called, before somebody actually even realizes they might be in danger. I haven't seen them for a couple hours. Children, another good example, and more times than not, that's what this technology for us is used for. And it's been a game changer for us being able to spot these individuals before there's just dire outcomes. So I heard from a sheriff up north just a few weeks ago where when we first implemented our drone program, they had a young child who had some impairments physically and mentally wander away. They had already been gone for 6 hours, and, it was like March. So they didn't think there was gonna be an outcome. We sent the drones up, and we were able to find that child in 2 hours, and child safe because of that. And just, what an impression that made on them. And as they started to decide where very precious funds go, that was some of the purchases they made because of that. So it's a powerful tool to keep us safe. I know we think often about the law enforcement element, but that shield of safety is what we're really trying to go for.
Thank
And I
you.
realize I didn't also answer your drone as first responder question, so we can talk offline if you want to do that, yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments on this item? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes. That takes us to item 4C from the Bureau of Equalization, the 2026 remonumentation grant.
Action requested, recommend to the Board of Commissioners to accept and appropriate $108,822 from the State of Michigan Office of Land Survey and Remonumentation to the 2026 Remonumentation Program budget in the FY 2026 Special Projects Fund, and authorize the Board Chair or Equalization Director to execute the grant agreement. Summary, PA 345 of 1990, the state offers an annual grant to counties for providing survey, monumentation, and remonumentation of public land survey corners consistent with the county's plan. I just wanted to mention that if you look at the fourth individual on the back wall, that's Vern Ehlers. And of course, we remember him most recently as a Congress member. But he was the county board chair, and in between was a state senator. This was his baby. This was a program that he pushed because the state corners had never been remonumented. And when this program went into effect, I was in South Haven, and there were gun barrels and swords and all kinds of things marking corners. And so this has been a comprehensive program to look at every corner in the state. And Kent County was at the lead of this. I think we were the first county to actually make it through the corners and make it to the maintenance program. I know the Oakland and Ottawa were a close second and third. I don't remember which, but, so this has been something headed by our equalization department. They've done a great job of it. As every year, iron survey monument maintenance is performed. This, in 2026, 93 corners will be revisited, and basically to check the condition, make sure that the GPS coordinates all match, and so this has been a great program.
Is there a motion for this item? Moved by Commissioner McLeod. Is there support? Supported by Commissioner Womack. Any questions or comments? Commissioner Ponstein.
Thank you, Chair Teal. Thank you, Al, for that. In a previous life, I worked for an engineering firm that set these things. So I don't have a concern, but like every other state program, you question, has it outlived what the purpose was? And in this world of GPS, GIS, and all of that, is there still a need to maintain these things? Because it's time-consuming. The monuments are expensive. Any thoughts?
Well, we have somebody approaching the mic here.
So my name is John Wiles. I'm the Kent County Remon rep. So wanted to address one of your concerns. Coordinate systems go through transformations, and generally by law, that survey really has to go to that physical monument or its accessories to do certain types of surveying. And sometimes those get destroyed and the witnesses do, so that's one of the reasons that, it's a fee payer program that funds the remon. So every time a document is recorded, a portion of that goes in the remon fund. And it is administered by government employees, but generally it's a fee payer that creates the fund. So, did I answer your question?
Is it still needed?
Yes,
This world of technology?
yes. Unless you want to change some of the surveying laws.
Any other questions or comments on this item? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, see no additional questions. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes. That takes us to 4D from the Administrator's Office, fiscal year 2027 budget process guidelines.
Action requested, approve the following list of guidelines to be used in preparation of the fiscal year 2027 county budget. Summary, so each year the county administrator controller is directed per state law to present a general fund budget that is structurally balanced and to establish the appropriate budget targets to achieve the goals that's laid out in the board's strategic plan and to meet the many operational needs of Kent County. So zero-based budgeting will be utilized for all discretionary line items so that each department should assume that the account rolls back to zero at year end and they'll need to rebuild the rationale for all expenditures in that line item. Also, I did put a moratorium on new positions for this year. Really, the thinking was we were in somewhat of a deficit after the Great Recession. A lot of positions were laid off. We needed to catch up in some areas. But I thought it would be good to take a breath and just kind of let things settle a little and not add a bunch of new positions this year. I think the ones we've added have been well justified. I know that's debatable. But we did decide to take a breather for this year. Now that the only exceptions to that would be positions that we've done studies for, like we did a road patrol study, jail study. There's actually a law that passed that provides funds for prosecutor positions. We've had a really hard time shaking that money loose due to some of the language and the adoption of it, but we like to think we're getting closer and closer to getting that money into our system. And then we do have some fully funded grant positions, such as with the Public Defender's Office and Health Department and other areas. So those would be exceptions, but we're really talking about no new positions that impact the bottom line of the general, well, certainly the general fund. So according to the CIP policy, we have a target each year of a minimum of 0.20 mils of the general property tax levy will be set aside for CIP in the FY27 budget. And we have a work session coming up on February 12th, and that will be an opportunity for commissioners to ask questions and also to provide input into the budget.
Is there a motion for this item? Moved by Commissioner Womack. Is there support? Supported by Vice Chair Hildebrand. Any questions or comments? Vice Chair Hildebrand.
Thank you, Chair. Just on the hiring moratorium, I assume we will be hiring vacancy positions or positions that are open because of retirement or for other reasons. So this is no net new jobs, but no growth of kind of the positions that are there in the county.
Right,
here
it's a
in the county.
moratorium on new positions, not replacing existing positions, correct.
Commissioner McLeod.
Thank you, Chair. I had a question I had a thought and a question. So Commissioner Hildebrand asked one of the questions, but I guess I wanted to know about the positions that are vacant and will be replaced. Will those positions be reassessed in terms of, is there still a current need for the position in that way? Will it be, what type of assessment is going to be involved in the filling of vacant positions?
We do ask that departments assess the need for the position before asking to fill it.
Okay. And then a follow-up, or another question on the zero-based budgeting process. So I think that that's a great process, but I think it would be really great if we could be engaged in the process a little bit sooner before it's all allocated. And so I think that we've talked about this in strategic planning, other areas where we, as commissioners, feel like we need to be involved in the process a little bit sooner. And so I wanted to ask, like, with the session that's coming up on the 12th, will there be discussion about how commissioners will be engaged in the budgeting process, in helping determine priorities? I know we're not getting down into the nitty-gritty, that's not our job to do that, but how would we be involved in that process and helping determine what the priorities of the county budget are?
I mean, I think that is one of the main purposes of the next work session, is for the board to tell us what your priorities are.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure that we're gonna have the opportunity to do that.
Yes,
So that's the
absolutely.
time that we're gonna be able to do that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this item? Commissioner Coleman?
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate, the layout of this and just the good structure and the attention, especially the last few years, of just tweaking the structure to continue to, just improve the, effectiveness of the process and getting input from all the stakeholders that need to be involved. So just appreciate the continued evolution of it. One thing that does come to my mind, and maybe something just to consider for this fall, is just booking almost like a retrospective work session. By the time, rolls around in August, we're all sick of, the numbers and budget details and all that, but maybe in like November or something, we just have like a work session designed to say, hey, everybody grab your notes from the whole process, throughout this year. What should we continue to do? What should we pull back from because it turned out we tried it and it wasn't that effective? That, while it's a little more fresh in our minds, because I think this is great, but then going through it, there's always some little details. I'm like, this would have been better if we had timed it differently, or just having a chance to discuss that before we start up the next year's process, I think would be great if we structure that in.
I might have been hanging with medical examiners too much the last year, but you're talking a postmortem, right?
Yes.
All right.
Any other questions or comments on this item? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We are on to 4E from Parks and Recreation. Authorize acquiring and signing easements for construction of the Pettis Avenue portion of a non-motorized trail.
Action requested. I recommend to the Board of Commissioners to authorize the County Administrator Controller to sign easement agreements and related documents pertaining to the construction of a non-motorized trail on Pettis Avenue, and see the agreements are recorded. So, we're making progress on the Greenway. This is something that the board has approved funding for in previous resolutions. Part of the Greenway, of the trail, will run along Pettis Avenue in Ada and Cannon Townships. In order to construct it, the county needs some easements from property owners. Signing easements happens after negotiating with property owners for the easements. The county is proposing a fee per square foot of easement area plus a fixed fee if additional property is required temporarily during construction. Attached to the resolution is a listing of affected properties and the proposed fees for each. These were included in the overall cost projection for the trail. All agreements will be in the same form that accompanies the resolution.
Is there a motion for this item?
So moved.
Moved by Vice Chair Hildebrand. Is there support? Supported by Commissioner Coleman. Any questions or comments on this item? Vice Chair Hildebrand.
Thank you, Chair. I know Ben's here, and he always has a lot of good information. Since trail's kind of in my neck of the woods, I just want to get kind of an update. I traveled last summer and fall down Pettis quite a few times, and there was a lot of work going on, which is great. Can you talk about the sort of intersection between the Ada Township millage and, their investment as a township in that area, and then how it intersects with the Greenway and all the different funds coming in for that part of it? Because obviously we're involved. If it was Ada Township millage, I don't think we would necessarily be involved as a county, but.
Yep. So talking about this specific project, which is on Pettis Avenue between Cannonsburg Road and Knapp Street, is being funded in a combination between DGRI grant funds and Kent County ARPA funds. looking at another project that'll be going on the same time, which is the Knapp Street Bridge project. That involves Ada Township millage funds, as well as DGRI funds and Kent County Road Commission funds. If you look at the project that was going on last year down at Pettis, kind of in the Honey Creek area from Chief Hazy Cloud to Honey Creek, that was completely funded by Ada Township through their millage. So they've been an incredible partner through this project, one that's kind of taken the bull by the horns and done some sections that we needed done with their own money. They're building the bridge over the Thornapple River in their village area as well. That's through MEDC funds and Ada Township Trails and Millage Fund. So there's a whole lot of intersections of the funding for the project.
Quick follow-up. So the proposed pedestrian bridge over the Grand River, that would be Pettis across, right?
So that's on Knapp Street, just west of Pettis. So if you're driving down Knapp Street right now, there is a very narrow two-lane bridge over the Grand River. You can't get over it right now because of the snowpack on either side, but even in the height of summer, there's only about a 5-foot shoulder there. So we partnered with the Road Commission on that project. We're actually extending the existing piers for the bridge out, and then the pedestrian bridge will be set on the end of those piers. The benefit for the Road Commission is eventually they'll have to widen the vehicle lanes for that bridge, and they'll be able to do it on the existing pier extension. So for the next decade or so, there'll be a gap in between the pedestrian bridge and the vehicle bridge. Eventually, that'll be closed when they expand that bridge.
What about a standalone, I thought there was a proposal to do a standalone pedestrian bridge from Chief Hazy Cloud across? Is that still?
There is, yep.
Okay.
So we did 35% engineering for that project. We've got some amazing renderings of it right now. We're working with our funding partner, the Kent County Parks Foundation, to pursue private philanthropic funds for that project, and it's going fairly well so far. I'd say we're probably about 30% there.
Great. What's the total cost, just out of curiosity,
It's about
estimated?
$10 million.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this item? Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, see no additional questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion passes. That takes us to agenda item 4F, the financial status report. Good morning, Jeff.
Morning, Chair, Commissioners. Thanks for having me today. So this is the first quarter ending December 31 now. As you know, we all changed our fiscal year a few years ago. There's going to be a lot of repetition here saying it's all timing differences, so don't take too much stock into what's going on here. We're anticipating it all working out through the end of the year like it typically would. But you can see revenues are up, decreased 7.1%, mainly due to timing of taxes. Is the primary piece right there. And expenses have increased 3.9%. And again, it's timing of expenses. If you go to the notes page, you can see, again, on the top, revenues, taxes have decreased 3.48, and that is just purely timing issues. Interest earnings is the other one to note there. There was a huge mark-to-market adjustment up a few years ago, so we continue to see interest rates decline as the Fed drops their rate, so there's a decrease in interest earnings. Personnel category is the biggest change, up 5.6%, consistent with negotiated wages and new staffing from previous years. So nothing out of the ordinary there. Under debt, you can see we paid off a debt bond or a bond in '24, so it doesn't appear this year, so there's a big variance there. So that's good, we were paying off our debt. We do anticipate equaling our fund balance goal of 40%. We do anticipate needing that to up it to 45 to 50%, and I'll show you why in just a minute. Moving on to page 4 and 5, we did some new notes this time on department variances. Revenues on the top are the same as previous. Sheriff up 9.1%, consistent with personnel increases. But there was additional health services in the corrections and jail department, and then vehicle and equipment timing of acquisitions. So nothing out of the ordinary there. Clerk and Register of Deeds has had the presidential election, so they show a decrease this year. That's typical as well. And if you look at the Drain Commission, they had a pretty large change. That was mainly due to those previous at-large commitments that the board has approved. Moving on to page 6. is our statement of revenue, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. You can see we have total fund balance of just under $117 million. 40.5 is associated to economic stabilization and 59.3 million to cash flow, so a little bit above last year's level. Under the cash page, on page 7, you can see we have 80 days cash on hand, 79.3 million. So a little bit lower than last year, but really of no concern. Page 8 does show the cash flow. You can see the charts. Our low point is always in June of July before taxes start coming in. Our bar this year is comparable to previous years, but I'd really like to see that low bar stay above the 20 to 25 million. That's why I believe we need to increase cash flow. We've been monitoring that for the last couple of years since we switched our fiscal year. We'll make a recommendation probably next year on a new level for that particular balance. Page 9, so we've added this about 18 months ago, the lodging excise tax fund. There's a lot going on in this. You can see this is the first quarter that the 3% was included this year, if I can see it, 1.35 million. There was 0 last year because that 3% started on January 1 of 25. You can see some of the other revenue sources there. On the bottom, you'll see a lot more debt service line items, the 6.1 million we paid to Grand Rapids last year for the amphitheater soccer stadium bonds. And then we're repaying the reserve to the CAA. We did 850,000 last year. And you can see we made our CAA payment in the first quarter, $8.9 million there, and that will expire 12 of 31, nothing unusual there. The general fund advance is still at $8 million, and we intend to continue to pay that back slowly as funds are available. Sorry, that was very fast, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Jeff this morning? Commissioner McLeod.
I feel like I'm asking a lot of questions today, so I just had a question really quick on the general fund notes to the financial statement. There was something in here for facilities department management, or the facilities management department, talking about their increase was mostly due to the increase in protection and security services. Is it because of new facilities? What is because that's a pretty large increase for just to mainly be because of that. Was there new people hired to provide services, those protection and?
Tim is here. Do you have any specifics on that? Sorry to put you on the spot. I don't have the details in front of me on that.
Yep, my understanding off the top of my head was that was for security at the courthouse.
The courthouse.
That we have to screen folks as they're coming in.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other? Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you, Chair. Jeff, thanks so much for the report and all the work that you and your team do to keep us well organized financially. Greatly appreciated. And I'm just curious on that, you mentioned the lodging excise fund advance. Who decides when and how much they remit to us for making up that advance, catching back up, so to speak?
So which advance? Can you clarify the advance? So CAA fronted the cash, the bond reserves for the city of Grand Rapids, but it came through us. We gave it to the city. They're holding it. So they gave us a debt schedule that they'd like to meet to make their obligations. So we're following that schedule to repay the CAA for the advance they gave us to give to the city for their bond reserve. It's kind of a three-way complicated process.
Yes.
Is that the question you're asking about?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, that's helpful information too. But no, at least as I remember, we advanced, I think, as part of like the pandemic when travel stopped to the lodging and excise tax fund. We did an advance there, and that is getting paid back by. Is it Experience Grand Rapids or?
No, that is getting paid back by available reserves in the lodging and excise tax
in the
fund.
fund itself.
It is, so, yeah, we had $1 million budgeted or paid last year. budgeted last year. We didn't end up making that payment, and we didn't budget any for this year due to all of the other stuff going on in that fund. So we wanted the fund balance to remain high enough. So we do have a schedule set forth. I think it starts again next year, the repay to general fund. So, and it's done, I believe, by, what does the note say? 2032 is the plan to have that all fully paid back.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner, we manage that fund, so it's a Kent County decision.
Great,
Yep.
thank you.
Any other questions this morning? Commissioner Green.
I just have a quick follow-up. What is the balance of what's owed to general fund?
8 million.
8 million?
Yep.
Thanks, Chair.
Any other questions? Commissioner Ponstein.
So just quick, is there interest that's being paid back on that, back to the taxpayers?
We have not been allocating interest back with that advance, no.
Any other questions this morning? Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. That takes us to commissioner comments. Are there any commissioner comments this morning? Commissioner Coleman.
Just a quick note, for those of you who might know Darrell Page, Muskegon County Commissioner, who I worked with on the West Michigan Works Board in the past. He passed away from a battle with cancer this past weekend, so just condolences to all those who knew him.
Any other commissioner comments this morning? All right, seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning.